This is Iron Sharpens Iron Council. Welcome to the evolution.
Okay, here we go. Good afternoon, family. We're here. I have a guest today, Mr. Adam Welkin, and we are here getting ready to speak about the violation of the Constitution. And we are entitled in this, we are declaring war on ignorance. Now, in the Declaration of Independence, it states that all men are created equal. Among these, we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure that the rights govern are instituted among men's deriving their power from the consent of the governed. Adam?
I would point out that last sentence is the most powerful. They're all powerful, but the last is the most powerful because it means that without our consent, government cannot do a bloomin' thing.
Absolutely.
They get their power. God created man. Who are we to tell God what he's going to do or not going to do? Man, although it is a necessary evil, created government. Who is government to tell man what to do? We created government.
Yes, we did.
Government is our servant. And
yes.
I think that they became very obvious with their overall intentions back in the 70s. I was very young. I grew up in a generation where my parents had told me, if you ever need help, find a police officer and ask for help. I wouldn't think of asking the police I don't want their kind of help today. But in the mid to late 70s, I noticed that the words "to protect and serve" came off of all the squad cars.
Yes, absolutely.
And
absolutely.
It was replaced with this law enforcement. And that in itself that's a job title change.
And also,
that's where their priorities changed. And somebody somewhere along the way forgot to tell them law does not need enforcement.
Absolutely.
Because the law came from our Creator. I'll throw this example out there. The law of gravity. It applies every bit as much to President Trump as it does to me, as it does to yourself. It applies to every man, woman, and child on this planet. If any of us decide to jump off of a 20-floor building, I guarantee you that law of gravity is going to kick in.
Absolutely.
That is a law. Now, what the code enforcers are enforcing is regulations, codes, things that man has contrived and put together. They are not in any way law. They are below the law. And in most cases, they only apply to certain groups or aspects of people. They do not apply to the entirety. That's why, like your building codes,
right,
etc. But I would encourage anybody who is interested in studying, and I know it's really sad that we have such a lack of concern for people who want to learn and study the Constitution. But if nothing else, they can get a free book simply by writing to their Secretary of State's office. And the Secretary of State's office in any of the states will send a free copy of both the federal and state constitutions.
This is to let the citizens of the country know that their constitutional rights are being violated just about every day. And like you said, Adam, you just need to get in tune with knowing the law of the land and stop this violation to be continuing by the so-called police department that are supposed to be there to serve us and not violate us. That's the point.
Correct. And with all the police departments, with elected officials in general, they all take an oath to uphold the Constitution.
Absolutely.
Of the individual states, as well as the Constitution of the Union, the federal Constitution. When they break those oaths, and I'll use the coronavirus situation and the governors as an example, because sadly, more people can tell me who won the Super Bowl last year than can tell me the name of the governor and his council. But when it comes to their oaths of office, they have to be bonded and insured before they can start performing the duties of the office. A judge can win an election and he can hold the title judge, but by law he cannot take action of that job until he has produced an oath of office and an insurance bond. And where we have already Supreme Court rulings state, and I'm sure it's going to go federal pretty soon. Even President Trump has said some of the governors have overstepped their bounds with the constitutions. So you've got evidence in hand. Why are people not filing claims against the governor's bonds? You do that through your state insurance supervisory board, and all it takes is 3 verified complaints or claims for that bond, 3 separate ones or 3
consecutive ones.
3 consecutive ones by the same individual, and that costs them their bond, and it makes them uninsurable, and they cannot run for political office again anywhere because they will not be able to obtain another bond. That's the way we need to enforce the Constitution. And I think, and I didn't mention this when we were talking prior to recording, didn't think of it at the time, but I'm wondering if this whole corona issue is not to throw the students and the people who research world events and local, etc., off of the fact that the Foreign Relations Act expires this year. That act is what requires that oath of allegiance to uphold the constitutions. And I have heard no talk out of DC about renewing it.
Okay.
Which means if that is not renewed, and the reason they passed that was because of when we were a small nation of 13 nations that joined in a union.
Yes.
We didn't want a Tennessean running for president of the United States and then using that office for the benefit of the nation of Tennessee. So we had to bind them where they would work for the benefit of the whole union. Absolutely. And not just their home state. And that was what the Foreign Relations Act did. And that's why we had the oath of office requirements. And if they don't renew that, then we're going to lose a lot. I really believe that is the number one most covered up story in this nation today, is that act is going into retirement and nobody is talking about it.
Okay, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. We have got to get together. We have got to learn of our rights and put a little bit of pressure on the politicians to do their due diligence and following up and doing what they're supposed to according to the Constitution of the land, and stop going around and creating other sidebars and inflicting violations on their citizens. So on that note, we are going to continue to try to allow the family to know what we are supposed to do in terms of putting these politicians to the test. According to what Adam just said, the best way to go at it is submitting a complaint to the supervisor of the state with the bond, against the bond, so that they may not be able to run again and continue to carry on with the mockery that they're going on with in office.
And from my understanding, when you file a complaint on the insurance bond, although we have the proof like I said, in some states from Supreme Court rulings or lowercase rulings, going after a bond or complaining is just like an insurance claim. The company that bonded them and underwrote them will investigate it themselves. So you just have to basically bring the claim to their attention, then they take it over from there, because the last thing that these insurance companies want is to pay off a claim. That's what they're there for, but they don't like paying.
Do that. Absolutely.
And if they get 3 complaints, they will investigate 1, 2, and 3, and they will drop that politician if they find that politician is breaking the terms of the insurance policy. And the policy is simply, I will uphold the Constitutions.
That's what it's there for, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it's there for. On that note, we are going to continue this verbiage in another session, because our time is up, and I will have Mr. Adam Welkin back again so that we may have another session and inform you. And this is simply called Declaring War on Ignorance, ladies and gentlemen. Declaring War on Ignorance. Have a great day.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, sir.